Alrighty, welcome back. Now I'm going to tell you about my first flip experience and how the whole game changed after that, because ever since I started implementing the same strategy over and over and over again. Now I want to tell you my specific strategy, but there's going to be a lot of strategies that you're going to be learning from this course that I want you to implement them all and then get your own niche. Everybody has their own niche and then you make it 1,000 times better. So when I bought my first house, doing an FHA, an FHA is basically a way that you can buy a house, getting governmental help. I moved out of the city, more to a rural area. In this area, I noticed that there was a lot of properties that were vacant. Most of these type of properties or areas, you see a lot of snowbirds. So basically, snowbirds are people who go live in the north. So let's talk about New York, for example. And when it gets cold, they move down here to Florida and stay at their secondary home. But now, because a lot of the houses that I saw that were empty, I saw a lot of opportunity. And one of the things that I started doing is every time I went to, I saw a house that was empty, that was vacant, but it was in a decent condition, livable condition. I try to get the information, the address, and of course, I started doing skip tracing. Skip tracing is basically when you find who the owner is, where they live, their phone numbers, their emails, so that you can try to get a hold of them. Okay, so this is the whole point of this. Now, on the property that I bought, there was 3 properties that were vacant. 3 properties that there was no owners on there. There was no one living in the property. But the first one was actually 2 houses down the road. 2 houses down of mine, actually. And this property, I always thought that the grass was really neat, but the property overall seemed old, no paint, needed a new roof. But again, I always saw that somebody came every 2 weeks, 3 weeks to cut the grass, to mow the grass. And finally, after chasing this person, because I had a feeling that this person was the owner of the property, because it was always the same guy cutting the grass, an older gentleman, and I wanted to get a hold of him, but I just wouldn't meet him at the right time. Finally, I came from doing groceries with my family, and then I saw him there, and I went up to him and I told him, "Hey, nice to meet you. My name is Anaim. Let me ask you, who are you? I always see that there's nobody here living in the house, but it's well maintained and nice property. I moved down the road. I moved right there. This is my house, and I just want to meet everybody here in the neighborhood." And the gentleman told me, "This is my house. Nobody lives in the property for the past 10 years. Boom! I saw an opportunity, because again, I already had the knowledge about real estate and what I wanted to do. And when he told me that, I was like, wow. In my mind, wow, this is crazy. This is going to be exciting. So I told him, "Oh, that's awesome. And how come are you not living in the property if it's in such a great condition? Property is beautiful. The neighborhood is beautiful." He told me that he has another property by the waters that he really, really likes, and he's not planning on moving out. And I asked him, "So why are you not renting the property?" He told me he tried renting in the beginning of those 10 years, probably 1 year. And the tenant that was living in the property did not treat the property very well. So he decided not to rent the property at all anymore. I saw another opportunity here, right? Again, you want to make sure that you always listen carefully to what everybody's saying, because when you listen to someone and they're telling you about their situation, that's where you find the opportunities. You make a relationship and then you connect with that relationship in order for you to make anything happen. Going back to the story, the gentleman was like, "So how long have you been living here in the neighborhood?" I told him, "Just about 1.5 years. I love the neighborhood. In reality, I lived there for less than a year, but just to make a connection, right?" And I told him, "I've been living here for about 1.5 years. I love the neighborhood. It's very quiet. Not much happens around the area. So I love it because that's exactly what I was looking for." And then finally, I got to the point where I asked him, "Have you ever considered selling the property?" He's like, "No, I don't think I'm ever going to sell the property." I was like, "Okay, how come? If you don't want to rent the property, you're still going to have to fix the roof, because it seems like the roof is coming up due." He looked at me and then he looked at the roof and he's like, "Yeah, you're right. I'm going to have to spend a lot of money." Again, once he said, "I'm going to have to spend a lot of money," I was listening to opportunities. We kept on going, we kept on talking. I'm like, "Look, listen, I love this property here. I love this neighborhood. Would you be interested in selling the property to me?" And then it completely stopped him, right? He did this like he backed out a little bit, and I told him, no, I'm serious. I'm serious. I would love to own a secondary home here in this neighborhood because I just love the neighborhood so much, and I don't see myself leaving this area anytime soon. So he started thinking, he's like, you know what, it may be a good idea. And I'm like, would you show me the property? I would like to see if it's the same structure as mine. He's like, yeah, come on, come ahead. So he showed me the property. The property had the same carpet throughout the whole living room, the kitchen area. I mean, crazy. The same carpet since the 50s. I mean, literally the same design from the 50s. It was green, and he had like flowers. The flower design. It was old. It was old. Original doors, original carpets, original bathrooms. I mean, everything was original. It was an older home. However, because he kept maintaining the property, he kept coming every single month, once a month. He always opened the doors so the property never really got ruined, right? Because again, there's no moisture. The property was in great condition. The AC worked. Everything was in great condition. And I saw the opportunity, and I told him, wow, I'm impressed on how you're keeping up with this property without investing any money at all. He was like, yeah, I try to do my best. This is why I've been keeping the house for many years, and I just love the property. And he was just very proud of the property. And again, by listening to the situation, I was able to pinpoint the things that I was going to say back every single time. I was in this mode of basically expecting what he was going to tell me, for me to be able to use it to my advantage. Now, I'm not saying that you're supposed to be doing this in general. What I'm saying is you need to start to listen, because when you listen, you can solve problems. And in the world of business, when you solve a problem, that's when you gain a lot of things. That's when you gain monetary things, trust, respect. There's so many things. So I was listening to his whole situation, and every time he kept mentioning about the property, it sounded like he was already letting go of the property. He was literally detaching himself from their property, because as he went on, he kept saying, I don't think I can continue maintaining this property as I've been doing it for the past 10 years. I don't want to rent the property, so I'm not sure exactly of what I'm going to keep doing for the next 10 years. And I said, I completely understand what you're saying. I just kept listening. And he kept detaching himself from the property with every conversation that we had. So this conversation lasted about an hour. I asked him when would I see him again. He told me, I'll come back. I'll come back next month to do the same work. He came the following month, the same thing. He did the same thing. I was like, hey man, it's nice to see you again. It's so great to see you. So again, I built that trust. He was already excited to see me in a way when I said, hey, what's going on? You know what I mean? Your communication is going to be key for this business. You need to learn how to communicate, which is why you need to listen. Because when you listen, people see that, and then they want to talk more about themselves to you. They are trusting themselves to you. So I created that relationship. He was very happy to see me as well. He told me, you know, I've been thinking of what you told me. And honestly, I spoke with my wife, and I think we want to sell the property. As soon as he said that, boom, I was going crazy in my mind. And the reason, again, I was going crazy is because this would be my official first flip. Now, we're going to get more into details on why this flip was so crazy. When he said that he was thinking, he spoke with his wife about selling the property, I was mind blown. Again, I didn't demonstrate it from my physical. I got nervous, but I didn't demonstrate none of that. I was just like, I think it's the best choice. Now, let me ask you, why are you thinking that now? Then he told me he went back. I was detaching him from the property. He kept saying, I don't want to do this. I don't want to maintain the property. I live 1 hour away. He kept giving himself more excuses to detach himself from the property. And this was a good thing for me. Now, when we got to the point of the conversation, I was already imagining the numbers on how much it was going to take me to buy the property at a fair price. And I was already thinking of the rehab. As a matter of fact, he gave me a month for me to do my research on how much money it will take me to fix the property, or update the property, because even though the property was in good condition, the property was very, very old. It was original. Everything was original. And of course, when you get into the flipping business, you need to look for what's currently trending, what's being updated, what's selling the most, what colors are selling the most, what kind of kitchens are selling the most. So there's a lot of research that you're going to have to do in order to learn how much it's going to cost you to fix a property. He gave me enough time, and I estimated that it will cost me about $30,000 to fix this property. Now I'm talking about roof, I'm talking about AC, I'm talking about flooring, I'm talking about bathrooms, kitchen, everything. Doors, I mean literally a full flip, a full rehab. And while I was doing this research, I already had the price in mind. I told myself there's a specific amount of money that I cannot go over in order for me to make money on this deal, in order for me to have somebody else come in and make money as well on the deal, and in order to have a happy buyer on this deal. Because that's the other thing you want to think about. Who's going to be your buyer, right? Who's the person who's going to be buying the property? So I estimated $30,000 on the expenses. And while I was having the conversation, I asked him, how much do you think this property is currently worth? Now, keep in mind that I built this relationship with the gentleman, that I feel comfortable, confident of asking him that question. Because one of the things that you need to learn when it comes to negotiation is that you don't want to be the first person to throw out a price. You don't. Because if you throw the number, there's a possibility that you might be missing out. So never throw the price first. And you always want to make sure that you listen to the price, to their offer, to what they want to sell the property for you. Because again, sometimes there might be enough room for you to make more money than what you expected you were going to make. Now, going back to the story, I did the research. The property at retail value, as it was, with the current condition of the property, was over $115,000, as it was. Now, one of the properties around the areas, they were selling for about $130,000. This was a 2x1, 2 bedrooms, 1 bathroom. It was a decent sized home. It was about 1,000 square feet. And I was super excited because when I estimated, I already had the numbers for the flip, for the rehab itself, $30,000. And then I was thinking that I wanted to buy the property for about $40,000, $50,000. So that way I can do the rehab on the property, $50,000, put $30,000 into it, and then be able to sell it for close to $120,000, $130,000. Again, that's why you want to know the math. That's why you want to understand the numbers, which they are so important. You always got to keep in mind that you need cushion, because in the cushion, there's a lot of fees you're going to have to pay when you sell the property. So I was thinking $50,000, no more than $50,000, because it's going to take me $30,000 to fix the property. And so he was doing his own research, and then he comes back to me and tells me, you know what, I think $40,000 is going to be ideal. And boom, I had in mind that it was going to be $50,000. He mentioned $40,000. There was a $10,000 gap. Now, to make it sound even better, to make it sound like, yeah, I want to buy it right now, right? Because you want to know how to negotiate. Again, it's important. I asked him, why is $40,000 the right number for you? And then he started talking about the property. You know, the property's in good condition. I've maintained the property for many years. I know it's outdated. So he started talking down about the property once again, making sure that he was actually changing the price that he first originally asked. So I asked him, what if you sell me the property for $30,000 and then we can close on this property as soon as possible? Now here's the other thing. I did not have the money to be able to buy this property. I was just making up numbers, okay? Super important, super key, because this is one of the things that a lot of people don't know. Can I buy a property without any money? Technically, you do need the money. However, yes, you can buy a property without money of your own, but you do need the money. It's important that you know that. What you need is the skills, which is what I'm providing to you. You need to learn the skills in order to be able to pull things like this off. So going back, so he's like, $30,000, let me think about it. Let me call you. Can I call you? Then he got my number. I did not get his number before because I didn't want to be pushy, right? And I knew he was basically my neighbor, so I was okay. And he called me back the following day. He says, can we do $37,000, $37,500. I told him, you know what? Let's do it. Let's make it happen. Following day, he came by. I didn't have to go over there. He signed the agreement for $37,500. And keep in mind that the price that I had in mind was $50,000. So there was a lot of room for me to be able to make money and my investors to make money, besides the fact that 50 was the worst case scenario. Now, this is the amazing part of it. Once I got the property under contract, I put there that I needed about 15 days to do inspection period and another 15 days to close. So I gave myself 30 days to be able to close on this property. Super important that you have that cushion, especially if you are not going to be using any of your own money and you're using your skills, your time. You need time. It's important. Don't compromise time when you need the time. And here we go. So going back to the story once again, he agreed. I was super excited, and then I was super nervous because I was like, man, where am I gonna get this money? I don't have this money. My credit cards are almost maxed out. I have no way of purchasing this property, but let me see what I can do. So I called multiple companies, HELOC companies, to see if I can get equity on my house. There was almost no equity because I bought the property so recently, and the price haven't gone up that much, so they wouldn't give me any equity at all. And all I needed was $37,000, which is almost nothing when you want to buy a block home. This was a block home. Now, when I started getting more nervous, I called out to hard money lenders. I called them and I told them, hey, so here's the thing, I have this property under contract. This will be my first property, and I'm so excited because the property as it is worth right now, it's $115,000. So I want to get lending. I want to get money for the property, and I have the money to put down, which I did not have the money to put down. So I went on that. They got back to me. Multiple companies told me, hey, you don't have the experience. We cannot give you the money. And again, I was already down. I was already like, man, there's no way that I'm not gonna be able to close on this. I'm gonna continue. I'm gonna find the money. So I started looking at different resources. One of the resources was, well, one of my options was to wholesale the property to somebody, right? To wholesale the property. However, keep in mind that I told the owner that I want to keep the property, that I want the property for me. That meant I wanted to do the flip and rehab the property, sell the property, not wholesale the property. So either way, I wanted to know the options. I called a few people. They only offered $5,000 for the contract. $5,000 is nothing for the amount of work that I put into this property. $5,000 to me was nothing for everything that I wanted to do and accomplish. So I went back, and one of the things that I did is I started calling people that I already knew. I started asking people, hey, would you be interested in buying a house with me? I got a couple no's, but then finally I remember one person, somebody I used to work with, that he mentioned once before he wanted to get into real estate. So I gave him a call and I said the following words. Hey man, how's it going? If he was happy, hey, good, everything's going well, how's everything going for you? I'm like, look, I want to let you know that I got involved in single family flipping. I remember you were interested, you once told me you were very interested in getting into single family flipping, and I have a great opportunity for you that you don't want to miss out, but there's a couple of things. If you want to start working with me in doing rehabs, you're going to be putting the money for the purchase price of the property, and you're going to be putting the money for the rehab, but because I found the property and I know you work all the time, I'm going to manage the project for you. So I created this situation where he doesn't have the time, but he has the money. I don't have the money, but I have the time. Combine them both together, and I was able to make this work out perfectly. So what we did is, he completely agreed. We bought the property. I told him that for him to feel secure about the investment, he will be on the title of the property. So we were both owners of the property, legally. Even though I didn't put anything of my own pocket money because I did not have it, right? And again, I was super excited. I managed the project, I did the rehab, I found the people. Keep in mind, I did not have the people back then because I was so new. But because I was so hungry, I was so motivated that I was gonna do it, I was gonna make it happen, I started reaching out to people I knew. People that I knew that knew other people to do different tasks. I'm talking about carpet replacement, floor installing, cabinets, painting, everything that you can think of for the full rehab. I was finding those people, and I found them. I completed the project. It took literally $30,000, replaced the roof, replaced the AC, did the full rehab on the inside of the property. And when we put the property on the market, the property sold for $135,000. I was able to make over $28,000 in this first deal. And that's the deal that changed my whole life, because that deal is the one that got me hungry in telling myself, you know what? I can do this multiple times. I can repeat the process again and again and again. Even though I had a W-2, I was working full time. I told myself there's definitely a way for me to make this happen multiple times. And I did it. That's why I became successful in single family flipping. And this is the reason why I know you can do the exact same thing. If you don't have money, it doesn't stop you. Because what you need to do is you need to put time. That's your value. If you have the money, good for you. Because it's going to become easier. You're not going to go through the hustles that I went through in order to get that money. However, anybody can do this. Anybody can get started. Anybody can get their own first flip. And the amazing part about this is that when you do it once, you repeat the process again and again and again.